Welcome to Oracle Developer Live, Java Innovations. Today's event features Java experts from Oracle and the ecosystem who will cover enhancements to the Java language and platform, tools and frameworks addressing cloud-native development, programs to expand your Java knowledge and community participation, and an introduction to the new Java 18 release. Today's sessions are recorded, but our speakers are here to answer your questions live. At the conclusion of the event, we'll share details on how to access recordings for on-demand replay. Look for this light bulb during the session broadcasts. This indicates a content clue for each session so you can earn a virtual Java badge to use on your social profile. Take the quiz after the event to earn your badge. And now, I'd like to introduce the host for today, George Saab, Vice President, Java Platform Group, and Chair, OpenJDK Governing Board.
It's amazing to think that for over 25 years, Java has driven innovation in the world around us. From moving industries forward, moving careers forward, and moving application development forward, Java continues to be the bedrock that powers IT. Today, Java remains the #1 programming language and platform of choice. This is because Java's constant evolution is based on formal specifications that allow it to remain stable and compatible while extending its support to help developers transition to modern technologies like cloud and machine learning. And developers recognize this, understanding that becoming a Java developer is an investment in yourself to future-proof your career and afford more opportunities for a world of innovation. As we look forward, the technology landscape is changing at an increasing pace. Old development models are enhanced by new ones. It's important that our Java investments keep up with this change. There are two forces at play that are not always aligned. One force that demands accelerated change, new models for development, and a desire to move quickly. On the other hand, there are forces that are conservative, with very low tolerance to incompatibility and a desire to ensure solutions keep running without interruption. And as the stewards of Java, we at Oracle must keep both forces in balance. We continually strive to meet the needs of the broad and deep use cases powering enterprises around the world, bringing evolution and new capabilities to Java developers while preserving the investment that enterprises have made in existing systems that run the world. So how do we ensure that both camps get what they need from Java? It's the continual demonstration on several promises we've made. First, trust. We want to earn trust by transparency and openness in our direction and development. Through the OpenJDK projects, we continue to deliver a transparent direction which ensures developers can not only understand Java's evolution, but also makes it easier to give feedback on new features and enhancements before they're finalized. Second, innovation. Our focus on innovation means delivering efficient, secure, and stable enhancements which feel like a natural part of Java rather than something bolted on the side. And finally, predictability. We deliver predictably to ensure you can plan for how new versions of Java will meet your needs. With time-bound releases delivering like clockwork over the past 5 years and industry-leading long-term support versions on a convenient cadence, we've taken the guesswork out of updates. We take a long view on innovation with a deep understanding of where the world is going and introduce the right solutions into Java that continue to feel like Java for the user. Innovation through projects like Loom, Valhalla, Panama, and Amber. We want all this innovation to make it into the hands of developers, both predictably and incrementally.
Thanks, George. Oracle's open, transparent, and predictable release model introduces incremental Java innovation. Let's explore how this continues to offer value in the new Java 18 release. I'd like to now introduce Jeanette Hong from the Java engineering team.
Hi, Jeanette. I think you're just the right person to ask about the new features in JDK 18 and where they came from.
Yes. In fact, my team was involved in 7 of the 9 JDK enhancement proposals, or JEPs, in JDK 18. Many of the new features come from ongoing OpenJDK projects. In JDK 18, we have 2 incubator JEPs from Project Panama, which is the project to simplify and enhance the interaction between Java and native code. These are the foreign function and memory API and the vector API. From the work in Loom, the project to make it easier to write simple multi-threaded code with the performance of the asynchronous programming model without the complexity, we have the Internet Address Resolution Service Provider Interface. And from Valhalla, which is the project to modernize the way Java uses memory and allow for the flexibility of classes with the performance of primitives, we've re-implemented core reflection using method handles behind the scenes. The benefits from this JEP won't be completely realized until we deliver future features from Valhalla, but we always take the long-term view when working in Java. We also have the second preview of pattern matching for Switch from Project Amber, which aims to make it easier to write expressive Java code through relatively small enhancements to the language. Outside of these projects, through the usuals libraries and tools work, we introduced the simple web server and an enhancement to JavaDoc to make it easier to include sample code in your documentation. And as we try to do at every opportunity, we cleaned house and addressed some long-standing hazards to developers by terminally deprecating finalization, which has several fundamental flaws that we've been warning about for years, and by moving to UTF-8 by default to ensure that APIs for reading and writing text will work consistently across operating systems, locales, and configurations. There are sessions in the program later today where you can learn more about each of these.
Java libraries have grown quite a bit since Java launched. How much do they cover nowadays, and why do they continue to grow? Haven't we reached the point where we could leave all of the new things to third-party libraries instead of making the JDK library itself bigger?
But the JDK ships libraries to cover most of the commonly performed tasks, things that are basic and required by the platform itself, like collections, file I/O, and networking. There are also libraries required to be tightly integrated with the JVM and the language, like the classes for string and class loading. These must be included in the JDK. And finally, like other parts of the platform, we try to strike a balance by adding commonly used functionality without including every possible function. In some cases, we're happy for industry to pick a winner when there are multiple ways to do something. And only when an interface or specification has solidified might we include these new features to the libraries. In some cases, we need to add to the libraries because new functionality is required. For example, the first JDK versions use SSL for transporting encrypted communication. Later versions added the newer standard TLS 1.0, followed by 1.1, 1.2, and now we're at TLS 1.3.
How do you know when it's time to add a new API instead of having developers use third-party libraries?
Well, we try to balance incorporating the latest cool technology with what we think will have lasting power because compatibility is so important to us. We know that we will support APIs for many, many years. In fact, if you spend time with my team, you'll see that we're constantly debating whether batteries should be included or if it's enough that batteries are available. And finally, it can take a while to get the design of the API right. New classes and methods must integrate cleanly with existing and planned features. And we know we did it right when a new API feels natural to existing users and can be adopted easily since it's almost as if it was already there.
If there are so few APIs added in each new release, what's your team doing most of the time?
Well, it takes a lot of effort and expertise to keep the Java platform up to date with the amazing speed at which our industry moves. Many Java users take it for granted that their application, when asked to create a secure connection, will use the latest cryptographic algorithm. And what's more, they don't want to even hear that the performance has dropped, even though the crypto keys have doubled or more in size. Our libraries are constantly being improved so that your programs can benefit from the latest processor technology, better coding techniques, improvements to multi-threaded processing, as well as continuing to correctly calculate time zone conversions with rules that didn't even exist when the program was written, continuing to render properly on the newest OSs and hardware, even though the operating system libraries have changed completely, or allowing the user to use the latest cool emoji. It takes a lot of effort to achieve the appearance of stability when we're swimming against a very strong current. The fact that we are not only not falling back, but moving forward is impressive. Us being able to do so without the end users having to relearn how to do common tasks is a testament to the strength of the Java platform and the capabilities of our team.
So when new language features come along, you really only get their benefit when you're writing new code. JVM enhancements, on the other hand, tend to be improvements for existing applications and benefit those updating from one version to the next, even if they're not rewriting any code. Where do libraries fit on this scale?
Well, library improvements can fall into either of these categories. When a new API is added, the improvement is like a new language feature. Developers that really need it get very excited. For instance, in JDK 8, we did an overhaul of collections to take advantage of the new Streams API and improvements in parallelization. There is a lot of libraries work that goes into improving existing libraries. And when that happens, it's the code that uses those JDK libraries that benefits. We have so many libraries, though, that it's quite possible to go through a few releases without seeing an improvement in the libraries used by any particular application. But every now and then, there are improvements in JDK libraries used by most programs, and in those cases, you'll see impressive results across most Java applications. Compact strings is a good example of that one. Other common beneficiaries of libraries improvements are users of security libraries. It's quite common for applications to need to establish secure communications, and the speed at which new algorithms are added and old ones cracked is increasing. Most applications would need to be retired or replaced every few years if it wasn't possible for them to get upgraded runtimes with new security libraries. And in extreme cases, libraries improvements can safeguard us when new types of exploits are discovered. We can't promise it'll always be possible to fix things with an update to a library, but it has happened enough that some take it for granted.
Right. I guess most people don't realize the importance of the JDK libraries.
Yes, and JDK libraries are also testing grounds for the latest language and JVM features. When a new feature is considered, we always look to the libraries and ask, how could we improve them using that new feature? For instance, when we added generics to the language, the JDK libraries were the first real-world users. And the same thing happened with lambdas and streams. In all of these cases, changes were made to the language as a result of having applied it to such a large and diverse set of use cases.
One of the areas where I've gotten a lot of questions from customers is on the client. Have there been any improvements there? What has that team been working on?
We've been working on a bunch of behind-the-curtains improvements lately. As many people know, Apple deprecated their OpenGL support, which the JDK uses to render graphics. They've introduced a new framework called Metal. For the time being, they continue to ship both the old and the new, but that could change at any time. My team has been working to make sure that the JDK can continue running on Apple devices with the high performance and reliability that our users expect from Java. Accessibility is another important area that demands matching efforts from the platform. In JDK 17 and 18, we updated our Swing implementation to use Apple's newer accessibility APIs. And we've had hours of fun making sure that the JDK works well on the new ARM systems. A year ago with JDK 16, we introduced a new packaging tool called JPackage, which makes it easier to deploy Java applications in a way that is more consistent with applications made exclusively for Windows, macOS, and Linux. And we're also working on Project Wakefield, which will implement support for the Wayland display server on Linux. As some of you may know, Wayland is a default display server on most of the latest Linux distros, and it has a very different paradigm from the X Windows system that it replaces. In OpenJDK, we continue to co-lead and develop OpenJavaFX. One of our newest features is the support for the H.265 video codec. You can expect us to continue working with folks from Gluon, our co-leads in the project.
Okay, any final thoughts?
Well, as you can see, it takes a lot of effort to keep the libraries up to date. We're fortunate to have a lot of incredible and passionate engineers working on our team to ensure that we are making the right decisions for what we include and don't include in the libraries. We do have a number of job openings, so we encourage folks to come join us to shape the future of Java.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jeanette. Really appreciate your joining us today for that update on client and core libraries, and we look forward to great things from your teams in the future.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeanette. Java 18 represents Oracle's continued investment in moving Java forward. Now let's explore how Oracle continues to drive Java value for enterprises around the world. Let's welcome Manish Gupta from the Java marketing team.
Manish, how has Oracle's approach to serving its customers' needs evolved?
George, given Java's prevalence and Oracle's role as a steward and innovation leader for Java, it was really important that we delivered an offering that served organizations of all sizes and not just large enterprises. And building on Java's pillars of trust, innovation, and predictability that you've talked about, we launched the Oracle Java SE subscription a few years ago. And there were three fundamental premises there. The first one was keep it simple. So pay-as-you-go model that covers the deployments in the cloud, on-premises, as well as hybrid mode. And to offer a free offering for Java workloads when running on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. The second premise was to be transparent. A per desktop and per processor pricing with annual contract that were published on the website along with tiered discount structures. So there were no surprises. And finally, to be continuously evolving such that new value-added elements were incorporated into the subscription at no additional cost to customers over time.
So, Manish, why don't you tell us about the elements that are included in the subscription overall?
Yeah, there are a number of elements that are part of the subscription. At the very base level is, of course, access to the Oracle JDK binaries with the appropriate commercial license. Oracle contributes over 80% of enhancements and fixes to every OpenJDK release, and its developers have more experience with JDK than any other vendor. So that's the first thing. Next is the best-in-class support, 24/7, all year round in 27 languages. Support by a team of members that have more than 15 years experience each, and that work very, very closely with the development team, hence giving access to the best-in-class technical depth. Next element is the updates, even for the versions that have reached end of public updates. So security, performance, and stability updates directly from Oracle, the innovation leader. This includes the quarterly critical patch updates, as well as interim updates for supported versions that reach the end of public update, and access to mission-critical bug fixes before they're included in publicly available releases. This is really fundamental because it gives you access to and things that fix the issues that you have, but also give you mitigation against security challenges that might be around. And the next piece is to make life easier for our customers on the management front. So we include the Java Management Service, we include Advanced Management Console. And these tools make it easier to have visibility, insight, and ability to manage the large Java estate you may have in a corporation or in a small development house. JMS is a native service on OCI that intends to provide visibility, insights, and tuning of your Java workloads across the clouds and on-premises. The next piece that we incorporate with the subscription is entitlement to GraalVM Enterprise. With GraalVM Enterprise, you can boost your performance of existing code when you're running it in a just-in-time mode, or if you run it in ahead-of-time compilation mode, you get instantaneous startup time. This helps reduce your memory footprint and your computer requirements. And you can imagine if you're building and running and deploying a cloud-native application, it reduces the cost of your cloud bill. And so you get performance boost and you get cost management and reduction with GraalVM Enterprise.
How are customers experiencing the value they see in their subscription?
Yeah, this is really the bottom line, right? Why does a customer care about the subscription? And to us, fundamentally, there were three things. The first one was giving them something that helps them manage complexity. As you know, the workloads and applications in enterprise could be in a maintenance mode. They could be going through a transformation or modernization. And they could be building brand new applications, perhaps cloud-native applications. And what we wanted to do is ensure that the subscription could serve the needs regardless of where the applications were in their journey. The second piece that we wanted to ensure was the flexibility for the organizations to move at the pace of the business. So you don't have to go and maintain every 6 months and ensure you can get the security, get the bug fixes by only upgrading every 6 months. But you can move at the pace that your workloads and your business desires. And that's the flexibility you get with the subscription. The next part to manage this complexity was the management tools I've talked about earlier. And finally, of course, the support from Oracle. the best-in-class support to help you fight the challenges, fix the problems, and to deal with the day-to-day issues. The next element, the second proposition here is really to ensure that you can manage and reduce your costs overall. Studies we've done with an analyst talk about, and the calculations that I've done over a 4-year period, you can save about 30% in your overall maintenance and management costs of the Java applications. And as part of the cost management, if you go back to my comments earlier about GraalVM Enterprise, in your cloud deployments, you get a reduction in the cost because the resource requirements and the memory footprint are reduced with GraalVM Enterprise. So those elements help you on your cost reduction. And the final element on how the customer is experiencing the value is truly around security. As we all live in a day and age where security is not if, but when will it happen. And so with the subscription, with the support that you have and access to all the updates that you get, critical patch updates as well as interim updates, you have a better ability to manage and mitigate the security risks.
That sounds great, Manish. So what has the market adoption for this subscription offering been like thus far?
Yeah, when we were starting out on this journey, it was unclear what the adoption would be and if the experience I talked about would really be realized by our customers. We've been fortunate enough to get very favorable response, and the uptick has been fantastic. We now have thousands of customers in all industries around the world that are benefiting from the subscription. These customers range from Fortune 10 enterprises down to small development houses of maybe 5-person organization. And to see that depth and breadth of adoption is truly gratifying. When you come up with something and you don't know what the outcome is going to be, and to see this result over the last few years, it's been fantastic. Over 50% of Fortune 100 organizations are benefiting from this. We have a very high renewal rate and consistently high customer satisfaction scores. In fact, the support rankings are off the charts when compared to other software offerings. So we're very happy, and I want to take the time, George, to really recognize and appreciate the customers that have worked with us, that have partnered with us on the Java SE subscription over the last few years.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Manish, for joining us today and giving us more information about the Java SE subscription. We really appreciate the information, and I also want to join you in thanking all of the subscription customers who continue to make it possible for us to bring great new features to Java going forward.
Thanks, Manish. The Oracle Java SE subscription continues to provide enterprises flexibility to move businesses forward. Equally important is Oracle's commitment to steward the community forward. Now, let's learn about the many programs and channels Oracle offers to move your Java knowledge forward. Please help me welcome Chad Arimura from the Java Advocacy Team.
Today, we've been highlighting Java technology innovation and enterprise value. An equally important pillar is the Java ecosystem. Let's talk a little bit about the community.
Well, George, as you know, Java is 26 years young. With over 10 million Java developers and 60 billion JVMs active globally, you really have to make developer community central to the ethos of Java. And that's something that has really been done here. In fact, I don't think a week goes by when I don't walk in and I suggest some idea to Shar, somebody from the team, and they say, that idea has already been done. We've tried it in 2005, but let's do it again. And that's really, developer community has really been the ethos of Java for the history.
Okay, so developers represent an important heartbeat for Java. Tell me a little bit about that ethos, and what are we doing to ensure that the beat stays strong?
Well, I think one of the really essential programs has been the Java User Group program, or the JUGs. They've been around almost as long as Java. And if you do the math, that's way before meetups were cool. That's way before meetups.com. And with over 350 meetups and 1 million developers as part of the membership, that's really been central to the success of Java. And I'd like to actually recognize one of those JUGs today. The Garden State JUG in New Jersey has been really consistent with continuing to put on events through the last couple of years, even virtually. They're growing their YouTube channel, and that's been really exciting to watch. Another program that we run is the Java Champions program. Been around for about 17 years now. And again, if you do the math, that's before Instagram. So they were influencers before Instagram influencers were a thing. They really represent some of the premier members of the Java community, voted on by their peers for their contributions to Java. And again, I'd like to recognize the 10 new members of the Java Champions group that have joined since the last time we've done one of these events and we announced them. And the final thing is the Java certification program. We're approaching 1 million certified Java developers worldwide. So I think that's really been an exciting aspect of watching Java grow.
Okay, so these key programs are foundational to our Java advocacy vision. Along with these, what are some new initiatives that we are offering developers to ensure that that heartbeat stays strong?
Yeah, we have a lot of great new initiatives going on. So we have dev.java, which is a brand new developer website that we launched 6 months ago. Been working on it for some time, and we're really, really proud of that. Almost 100 tutorials. In fact, 250,000 characters of tutorials. I know this because we're looking at doing some translations. And we really look at that as one of the central hubs for developers to go and find information about Java. So that's dev.java. And then there's inside.java, which is an aggregation site for content that's been curated from the teams and the people that build Java. And so that's really, really interesting because anybody on the team who works on Java, when they do a presentation or a podcast or a piece of content, we aggregate that through inside.java in a nice format. So you can find the information there. And then we've been working really hard on our YouTube channel. So youtube.com/Java. We just reached 100,000 subscribers. We got a plaque. Nikolai did an unboxing of that in one of the Inside Java newscast episodes. So check that one out. But we've got the Inside Java newscast. We've got the JEP Cafe, you have Sip of Java, and then, of course, the Inside Java podcast found anywhere you can listen to podcast episodes. But one of the really cool things is that I've watched the team try and one-up each other in each of the new episodes, and they're starting to get really, really creative. I think pretty soon we're going to get some major motion pictures coming out of the Java team here.
Okay, sounds like you are all extraordinarily busy.
We are, but we have a great team. So we actually are growing. I'd like to welcome Jim Grazanzio to the team from Tokyo, Japan. Really excited to have him on the team. And we're also hiring. So if you're interested, you can find us online. And we'll also be in person, cross our fingers, at DevNexus in April, JFocus in May, the Java Day tour in May and June. And then, of course, you've probably heard by now, Java 1's coming back.
Wonderful. Well, I think we're all excited for that, Chad, and we really appreciate your coming and telling us a little bit about the activities from the Oracle Java Developer Relations team. We're going to look forward to more great content and information about the future of Java coming from that team. And if you're interested in joining the team, definitely check out the job positions and apply.
Thanks for having us, George.
Thank you, Chad. With continued focus for the 6-month Java release cadence, Java SE subscription for enterprises, and Java community programs for developers, Oracle's commitment for Java remains strong. We're looking forward to ensuring Java offers value for you in the next 25 years and beyond. Thank you for joining, and I look forward to seeing you again. To stay connected and keep the conversation going, follow us on Twitter.